Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Strange Radios. My name is Jeremy. I have just eaten a big meal and decided to do a video. um, it is the end of June. We're at the Canada Day weekend. For those of us in Canada, for those of you outside of Canada, I don't know, take part anyways. Why not? All right, so because we're halfway through the year, I thought I'd just do a bit of a recap of the music I've enjoyed so far in 2022. I'm not going to cover a whole lot, and I'm not going to cover much of it in depth. I'll leave that to the end of the year list. But yeah, I wrote up some things, and I have a small stack of CDs here to talk about. First, though, before we get to the full albums, I want to talk about a handful of songs that either are from albums that I didn't care for much else on the record, or they're from artists that I don't typically listen to. Just songs throughout the year that have caught my ear that I quite enjoy. In no particular order, but here's just some fun songs. Bo Burnham had the deluxe version of Inside Out, or the Inside Out takes, come out this year. There's a track off that called 1985, which I thought was really funny, really well done. The song Numb Little Bug by M. Byhold, a fun little, not fun, sorry, but kind of a poppy little bouncy song, but it's dealing with like anxieties and really relatable sort of depressive mindsets. A friend of mine introduced it to me, and it's a weird little ditty, but it's really catchy and really relatable. Primus had a three-song EP. Two of the songs I didn't really care for, but the song "Follow the Fool" I thought was quite good. Um, Classic Primus, in my opinion, sounds really great. Soulfly has released has single "Superstition" from an upcoming album that might actually be called Superstition as well. I don't know much about that yet, but Soulfly I like, and how do I explain? Like, I know what I'm getting with every Soulfly release, and yet I still buy them anyways. Like, it's the same thing over and over, but I don't know. I'm just like I'm hooked on it. So I usually dig what they're doing. Superstition in particular, I thought was quite good. Next on my list, there's a weird little song. I don't even remember how I came across it, and I've only ever heard this one song from this artist. Her name is Below, B-U, and the U has the umlauts on it, B-U-L-O-W. The song is called Playing Me Back. I told a friend about it, and I explained it as Sheryl Crow doing a Beck impression for like a minute and a half. And he said it was kind of an accurate description. Yeah, I love the song. It's so catchy, but I just wish it were longer. And I should listen to more of her stuff, but I just haven't got around to it yet. But that one song has been on pretty heavy rotation. Regina Spektor released a new album recently. I've listened to it once in full, but I haven't really digested it that much. But I did really love the song "One Man's Prayer," which is sort of an analysis or a critique of, let's say, immature masculinity. Like, it's a really good song. The Dreadnoughts, a Canadian punk band, but also like they deal a lot with folk and polka and rock and punk, all sort of conglomerated together. Truth be told, I haven't really checked in on them in quite a while. I have one of their first albums. I think Victory Square is the one I have. It's from 2007. I want to say seven in there. And I really haven't checked in with them since, truth be told. But they released a new album recently too. And again, I looked into it. Some of the songs were okay, but a song called Battleford 1885 really, really stuck out as being quite good, and I would highly recommend. And finishing off the song list here with Corpse Grinder. He released a solo album earlier in the year, and it's fine. I mean, it could just be a Cannibal Corpse record. But there's a song on it called Vaguely Human that I thought was probably the best of the bunch. Those songs, all of those songs, plus a whole slew more, are on a best of 2022 playlist I made on Spotify. I'll link it below. There's about 52 tracks ish, and it's only for half the year. I'm going to start a second list for the second half of the year because it's been a pretty good year for music. But on that list, you'll have, you know, everything: singer-songwriter, extreme metal, both like Black and Death. There's some thrash on there, um, dark jazz, country, rap. Did I say rap? Whole bunch of stuff, whole bunch of cool stuff, all in a weird little playlist that I highly recommend, obviously. All right, let's go to the albums that I've loved so far this year. Um, I'm going to cover three that I don't own. I'm not going to talk too much about them. The first is Tyrannus, Unslayable. I don't know much about the band, honestly. I've never really listened to them before, but this album is fucking heavy. I love it. Really dark. Really cool album cover, too. That's what drew me to it. The band Greenbeard with their album Variant. Again, I haven't listened to this one very much. I think I gave it one full listen through. Kind of a, what would you say? Not quite stoner sludge, almost like a Caius kind of vibe to it, but maybe a bit more punchy, like Clutch. Somewhere in that vein, right? And the last one, I don't own this one either. I don't even know how to pronounce this band name. Neachech, called with an album called Unsubscribe. I would suggest, or I would say that they're probably dark jazz, if I had to guess. It's very brooding, very atmospheric, and it's got saxophones and stuff. And it's got a cool little picture of a panda bear on the cover. But all three of those albums, they have song. They each have a song on my Spotify playlist. Now we're getting into the albums that I actually do own physical copies of. Again, these aren't in any particular order. These aren't my favorite albums of the year so far, like in terms of top five or whatever. These are just albums that I liked, I thought I'd shout out. We'll start off with Spinoza by John Zorn. Spinoza being a philosopher from Europe, maybe Dutch. Don't hold me to that. And this is the Simulacrum trio that Zorn has been going with for a few years now. Basically, organ, guitar, drums, and it's wild acid jazz that is just insane. This particular release has 2 tracks on it, each is over 20 minutes. The first track, which I think is just called Spinoza. No, that's the second track. The first track is Imminence, and yeah, it's wild. It's absolutely wild. If you're into, well, if you're into John Zorn, if you're into like crazy avant-garde acid jazz, absolutely check it out. Next up, Tanya Tagak, Tongues. There it is. Stupid Claire. Anyways, Tanya. I'm not sure actually. She's a Canadian singer, vocalist from Nunavut, and she utilizes throat singing in her music. And this album is very sort of stark and very, compared to her other stuff, at least that I've heard, kind of minimalist a little bit, but it's still really good. It's really captivating. Next up is band Night with their sophomore record, Voices of the Cronian Moon. I'd never heard of Night before this year, and Henry, to the boy Ellis, Henry Derek Ellis, recommended this. Not recommended it, but showcased it on Instagram, and I went out and listened to it, and holy shit, this is really, really good. Sort of a old school heavy metal type of sound, right? It doesn't quite get into any sort of extreme metal, but it's just hard rock, heavy metal. Then what really sort of pushes it over the top is the vocals. They're drenched in reverb, and they have a very Lemmy Kilmister vibe to them, like Motorhead vibe, which is a bit of an unfair comparison considering how just legendary Lemmy was as a vocalist, how unique he was. But I think the comparison is apt. I think there is some similarity there. But yeah, catchy hooks, really good guitar, vocals are great, just great atmosphere all around. Awesome glare as well. Yeah, I would say highly recommended on that one. This this one it's gotten a lot of mixed reviews this year. And that's the new Ghost record, Impera. Um, I actually really dig it. I really dig this one. Ghost has been a band that I've followed along the whole time. Their releases have sort of been hit and miss over the years, but this one I really do like. A lot, like I said, a lot of reviews have been quite negative on it. Maybe not having, maybe lacking cohesion was one of the critiques I saw, and the production quality I saw being critiqued as well. Maybe those things aren't perfect, but I can look past that. It doesn't really affect the enjoyment of it for me. If it does for you, that's too bad. But I really do enjoy it. It's very theatrical. It's very, again, a old school heavy metal sort of theme run there, last two records, but good stuff in my opinion. Uh, Second to last record. This is Black Fucking Cancer with Procreate Inverse. Just absolutely relentless, obscene black metal. Just absolutely demonic and really, really heavy, crushing, suffocating. These songs go on, most of them are quite long, 7, 8, 12 minutes long, and I usually get bored of black metal that lasts that long, but this album, it works in my opinion, really works, and the songs just keep up the momentum and keep up your interest in them by, changing and subtly moving into different territory as the song goes along. Just killer fucking record. Killer record. And finally, we're gonna end on look, you have to understand, if you don't know me at this point, my first favorite band ever was Korn. This is their new album, Requiem. And out of all the stuff I listened to in high school, there's only a couple bands that really have remained relevant or not cringy to listen to, like Rage Against the Machine and System of a Down, probably. Nine Inch Nails, too. Like, I could still listen to them and people wouldn't make fun of me, typically. Korn, though, they do kind of fall into that category of, oh, you still listen to Korn? Wow, okay. And yeah, I do. I mean, like I said, they were my favorite. They were my first favorite band. I was 10 years old when Follow the Leader came out. So I'm just, you know, it's a part of me at this point. I recognize their flaws, but I still like them anyways. And Requiem and their last album, The Nothing, I think were actually two good records. Some of the best stuff they'd done since the turn of the millennium. Let's not kid ourselves. Yeah, so I would recommend Requiem. If you've given up on Korn and you used to like them, I would say listen to Requiem. At least give it a shot. You might be surprised. That's what I'm going to end the video on. But yeah, those are some recommendations I had. My favorite albums so far of the year. Some songs recommendations, which again, I will include a link to my Spotify playlist of Best of 2022 down below. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. Thanks for watching. This has been Strange Radios. Stranger Audios.